Mike Weber and Thuy Tran here with another video. And today we want to talk with you guys about some of these big headlines that we're seeing. Importantly, out of Zillow, they're saying that their Zestimate value in the last year, 53% of homes have lost value, around 9%. And then also Redfin came out with some recent news talking about how delistings are up 28% year over year. So a lot of pain in the national news headlines for the housing market, but we also want to talk about how that applies to California and both of the areas that we work in. Thuy Tran is in San Jose and I'm down here in Southern California. So why don't you go ahead and kick it off, Thuy? What are you seeing?
Yes, for sure. I think whenever we look at the national news, it tends to be really bad. But if you look at the micro level here in the Bay Area, and I feel the Bay Area has always been like the leading market in the
Mhm.
country because we have very fairly stable market in general because there
Mhm.
is a lot of tech company here. You have Meta, you have Google, all the big names are here, all the AI companies
Okay.
are
Yeah.
here. And so it does give our market a little bit of a leg up. However, we are seeing the same issue as what we see on a national level. And
Hmm.
although we're not seeing as bad where, it's 28% delist or losing, 40, 50% in value, I personally, for my listing or the people I work with, I am seeing a good 10% in value drop
Hmm.
in this
Okay.
past quarter. So giving an example, one of a listing that I just sold recently in a very good market,
Mhm.
not this neighborhood is very stable, phenomenal school, quiet, very desirable. And
Mhm.
we just closed last month. But originally we were looking at close to 1.85, maybe 1.9 for the home value.
Okay.
And, for our market, that's an average home actually.
Mhm.
And by the time we got on market, we're actually looking at more close to 1.7. And we
Mhm.
end up, with a lot of marketing and a lot of staging, making sure everything's perfect. We end up
Mhm.
1.75. So
Mhm.
you're seeing that like pretty much 100 to $150,000 in value loss. So close
Wow.
to 10%. And that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot for a seller and homeowner to swallow for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what matches kind of Zillow's headline or their article, which is talking about their Zestimates, which are obviously just an algorithm that kind of generates a value. Sometimes it's somewhat accurate and sometimes it's not. But yeah, I mean, they're saying around 9% across the country in terms of the amount prices have declined. But they're also saying that since a lot of the homes were bought, more than 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there's very few people that are suffering negative equity. Although I would argue against this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But overall, interestingly, that's not too far off of what that national headline says, at least your experience on that sale, right?
Yep, exactly. And I know it's not just that sale. I've seen, other sale in the neighborhood because before we get on market, I make sure to do my research and looking at what was pending. And I was saying like, oh my gosh, like all these homes are in contract for significantly lower than what I had expected. And
Right.
what started the downward trend. And, of course it hit my client as well.
Yeah, and I mean we're seeing it here too in Southern California, Los Angeles, where I live. There's lots of homes. I mean, there's two things going on. One, there are homes that are just sitting on the market, and that is the other headline out of Redfin is these delistings. So the rate of sellers that are pulling their homes off the market has risen 28% year over year. And what happens is that, I mean, that's a lot of what we see is that they just don't want to lower the price. So they refuse to lower the price because for whatever reason, they saw that peak sort of price a year or two ago on Zillow or realtor.com or Redfin or wherever they saw it. And it's really hard sometimes for people to backtrack off of that price and accept the reality that the home may be worth less than they actually think it is. And for that reason, a lot of people, if they really don't have to sell or really don't need to sell, they end up just throwing in the towel and pulling on the home off the market, hoping or thinking that maybe tomorrow or next month or next year will be a better time to sell, right? And then Secondarily, we do see the ones that are being reduced in price. And of course, oftentimes those are the ones that do end up getting sold. So those are the two things I'm seeing locally. Lots of homes just kind of sitting there, nothing happening. And then other ones that are getting reduced. And then finally somebody's biting and they're going into escrow and being pulled off the market.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of those things too, that which I'm seeing the same thing, especially like right now in December, which typically we are seeing a lower number of inventory. But some
Right.
of the home I see, like, some of them price really well and some of them not so well, because some of the home I'm seeing, okay, this home for 1.5 or 1.6 million, it is a bit overpriced for the current market. And even
Mm-hmm.
for the home that I listed, even though we expected 1.7, for the way that our market work, we typically don't list it at the price we think. We typically list slightly lower to get more eyes on the
Mm-hmm.
home. But I know other market in the country tend to list right where they think the market is at. And I think with that, right, you going to have to be very much making sure you do the research, making sure you're out listing at what is the market right now, what not necessarily what was closed a month ago. And seller has to be nimble about it and be able to see the data and look at the data and be like, yes, this is where the market is at. It makes sense for me to sell right now, so I'm gonna sell. Because when it's come to our own home, we all have a bias because we think our home is the greatest and best and it's
Yeah.
amazing and it should be sold at, way higher than what market value is, until you go on the market and then reality hit you in the face.
Yeah. Yeah. And most sellers have that idea in their head, just like we do as well about our homes. And I do just want to say, because we get a lot of these, comments that tell us we're crazy and this and that. Obviously, this doesn't apply everywhere. There are still markets, like obviously where you're at in the Bay Area, there are probably areas up there where people just have plenty of money. You got a lot of tech money up there. And if a home pops on the market in the right neighborhood, it's gone. There's demand. There's plenty of buyers. So I'm not talking about those ultra hot areas like Manhattan Beach or Hermosa Beach if you're talking by me. But what I'm saying is, in general, in all these different markets, we are starting to see a lot of those same things here we're seeing in those sort of national headlines as well. So it's pretty interesting. One thing too, I want to say, we want to hear from you guys. So don't forget, leave your comments down below. Let us know if you have any questions about real estate, but also tell us what you're seeing in your local market. If some of this stuff is resonating with you or it isn't, we certainly want to hear from you. Anything else you want to share on this, Thuy?
No, I think we definitely hit everything on the mark. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. See you next time.
Yeah.